Hi kittens, I'm Julie Savone, psychedelic facilitator, integration expert, and your guide for this wild ride, The Inner Trip, 365 days with plant medicine. I've helped hundreds of people use plant medicine, primarily psilocybin, to heal, expand, and step into their next level. But this year, I'm taking it even deeper. For the next 365 days, I'm bringing you with me. I'll be microdosing, journeying, integrating, and exploring what it really means to live a limitless life, with plant medicine as a tool, not a crutch. So if you're ready to feel more alive, more clear, more limitless, and you're down to do it with mushrooms and a little bit of sass, you're in the right place. Let's take the inner trip. Hello, kitten. Oh, this is my troll. It's part of my little team that helps me. At least I think. This is a funny little story. I'll go down really quick. I was home this summer and I was cleaning out in my room. My mom does not touch my childhood bedroom, and I found all these trolls, and I wanted a troll so bad as a child. I was like, I love trolls. Anyway, so I finally got them and I found them, and I just felt this that they were calling to me. Don't worry. I didn't think they were actually talking to me, but I brought them all home, and they all sit on my desk now, and they're my little cohort of supporters, I suppose. I was really drawn to the blue one, which makes sense because blue is your throat chakra. It's clear speaking. So anyway, today is one of my favorite kind of episodes because it's a threer. My intention today is to sort of address three different things. One, I want to do an update to a question because I heard a really good explanation about the question, is microdosing real? The effects of microdosing, is it a placebo, etc. So I want to dig into that, what I heard. I wanted to share my answer to a question from a former client who was asking about, is this something that I should microdose LSD or psilocybin for? Because she's someone who's gone through my one-to-one work liberation, and so inside that container we do both psilocybin, aka mushrooms, and LSD. We have the opportunity to do both, if you choose. And then finally, we are going to do a little bit of an update because this whole podcast was my, journey with maxing out my psychedelic use for the year. And I felt we've been talking about so many exciting things, things that I just have been so pumped to share with you. And I haven't really given an update since I think my last big experience with journey with acid this fall, when fall was falling and I was loving it. So that's where we're going today. That's my roadmap. Let's jump first things first into that big question that I know a lot of people have is microdosing real? Real meaning statistically significant, or is it not? Is it a placebo, right? So this has been addressed on another episode. It is one of my, I think that's the title of the episode, is microdosing real or not? I have done a couple of these episodes where I've been full episodes around Q&As. So there are a couple of them out there that you can go find. And what I heard, and I always do this on this podcast where I'm I was listening to Huberman or something, and someone else, the guest expert, said shalala, and I can never remember who the guest expert was. But basically he made the person that I was listening to, it was a man whom I cannot remember his name. He made the great point that none of the studies around microdosing have looked at microdosing basically from the way I do it. And I'm not saying that I'm the expert that everyone's modeling everything on, but the way that I do it is following a protocol, right, of on and off days, and B, pairing it with tools of intentional relearning, right? So there aren't these studies around, there's studies around in the, one day, in the immediate, someone microdosed and then they tested them and they looked at all of these things. What are the effects of microdosing? Is anything going on? But no one has looked at the long-term use following a protocol, pairing it with tools of intentional relearning. I think that's a great distinction because ultimately, if you looked at surgery, for example, in the immediate, does surgery seem like a great thing for people? No, right? I got my knee done and it sucked for a while afterwards. Long-term, after following a physical therapy plan, yes, it was worth it. But even that's a great point. It's not that you just get surgery and then magically everything's fixed. If you're not going to therapy, if you're not working, I remember the very first thing I had to do was get my knee to straighten 100% again. If you're not working through these milestones, surgery is not going to, it's from a clinical standpoint, not going to be effective, right? It's not going to make anything better. So I think it's important that we do have a study. Someone has a study out there that looks and approaches microdosing as a system versus a one-off, because anything in the short term under a microscope, looking at that one specific instance, it's highly likely that many things aren't going to actually be effective, right? Same thing for if you have a course of antibiotics. After you take the first antibiotic, are you going to see a complete uh, eradication of the bacterial infection? Certainly not. So why are we doing the same thing with microdosing? It was such a good point that he brought up, that no one has tested it in this way, which is how most people facilitate microdosing. It's how most people, if they really want to see change, they don't just want to have like a fun day or a cool experience. They want to have an overall change in their life. That's how they approach it, through a protocol, through a month, 60 days, 90 days, paired with tools of intentional integration. So beautiful. I thought that was a great distinction. Section 1. Section 2. So my client, who is someone who's gone through Unbreakable, she was reaching out to me about an application. And I don't want to bury the lead, because I would like to say that she has since gotten into Carnegie Mellon. And so there were a couple different applications she was asking me about. One was her business school application to Carnegie Mellon. Shout out to her. Congratulations. Another was a job application. And so she kind of explained the situation to me. She said, I found this job application. I don't know what it is about it. I'm going to apply. I am going to take some intentional time to do that. And I want to microdose while I do it. Should I microdose with psilocybin or with LSD? And I was like, great question. So I asked her some follow-up questions. And the sort of rule that we got to, that I'm going to share with you, is that if something feels like very clear, like there's no emotional charge around it, it's something that you know you want to do, that you're excited for, it feels like 100% is a yes in your body, however that lands, then I would microdose. And it's something cerebral, right? Like applying for an application, etc. Then I would go with LSD. Why? That is more medicine for the brain. That is thinking in more creative, problem-solving ways. Whereas she also told me that she was experiencing some like resistance around the application. She was thinking, I don't know that I necessarily want to leave my current position. I don't know that if that's what I'm after. I'm not sure if I was even offered this job, if I would take it, but something is speaking to me, something is piquing my curiosity here. And so what I suggested for her is to do a session with psilocybin first and to get clear on how she feels, right? She told me she's going to apply regardless. She knows that for herself, but it felt like there were some bigger, deeper emotional and feeling issues that she wasn't 100% clear on, that I thought it was important that she get clarity on before she applies. So there was kind of like 2 microdosing sessions. And this is totally, once you've followed a protocol, and probably multiple protocols to get to a point that you've risen your baseline. So let's say your baseline on average, day in, day out, you feel like a 4. What most people say by the end of working together is that they've increased their baseline by 40%. So then they might feel like an 8 out of 10, right? So once you've gotten to the point where you like your baseline, you can microdose in these more like one-off ways. You can microdose before a social event, which is shown to reduce overall alcohol consumption. You can microdose before speaking at events. I've done that a million times when I wasn't like on a quote unquote active protocol. So there's lots of ways that you can do this. And for her, it was totally possible for her, and responsible and totally fine, to microdose once and ask yourself some of these questions, like, what is speaking to me about this job? What are these feelings that are leaving me feeling conflicted? Like, am I satisfied? Like, how satisfied am I at my current position? What is missing for me in my current position? What do I think might be satisfied for me at this new job if I were to take it, etc. Right? To do some of that more emotional digging, because psilocybin is medicine for the heart. And then when she actually got into the application process, to use LSD microdosing to actually create it and be in that more like cerebral space. So I thought that was a really cool question. And it gives a clear sort of, I do like bright line rules, right? Coming from my background as a lawyer, I like a bright line rule that if it's something like this, if it's something more emotional, unknown, feelings work, then that's psilocybin. If it's something clear, yes, creative, problem solving, etc., then it's LSD. Beautiful. Section 2, moving into section 3. Let's give an update. Oh my gosh. Overall, I've been feeling a lot more called to work with LSD lately. I wonder if that is because for me it is just more like it's more fun. I really feel like God created LSD as a gift because to me it's the best thing in the world. I know people have had bad LSD trips and I'm so sorry again. I really feel like it was probably because set and setting weren't accounted for. I love it. It makes me feel so good. It brings back joy and presence and the beauty and the simplicity and appreciation and gratitude for what is and just really enjoying life so much for what is before me, right? And I think that I've been more called to that because that feels really good. Maybe there is, I'll be totally honest, this is a question I've been rolling around for myself. Perhaps am I avoiding some deeper emotional work? I could be. I could be for sure. I don't think that work is ever done. I do not believe that, despite how much I have done. It could be time for another mushroom ceremony. It could. Um, and I think also the world is heavy right now. The world is very heavy. And that makes me want to connect back with things that feel good, not as a way to bypass because I do stay informed. I do participate in civics and in forms of protest, and it's not to forget, but it is sometimes nice to have that anchor to the goodness and just to remember like life is good. I choose to believe people are inherently good and have good intentions, and like sometimes that can be really hard, and you just want the sparkle, the glimmer, right? So, and I just want to be clear, I'm going to tell you exactly like what I've done, and I haven't been just bypassing life like dropping acid all the time, so don't worry. But I did microdose LSD for the first time when I ran my live round of Unbreakable in November. That was December. As I sit here, it's the beginning of February. So I did that live round with Unbreakable. I've never used Unbreakable before in that program for myself. And it was great. I really loved it. I really love microdosing LSD. I have not microdosed LSD in a long time. And it was just a beautiful round of women. I really loved all the women in there. Like their results were so amazing. It was just a month, but every single woman I talked to reported that 40% increase in overall well-being, if not 50. And so it was just like, to me, that's a success. The success is like, how do you feel afterwards? So I felt great about that. And then I took myself on a journey, maybe mid-January, and it was probably like it wasn't a full dose, and it wasn't a microdose, so we're gonna call it a mid dose. So in the way that I get acid, I get it in a spray bottle. So a microdose can be like 1 to 3 sprays. I'm probably like a 2er. Just personally, like my body comp, and a full dose is like 20 to 30 sprays. I think a lot of people like 25. I took 12 sprays. So I was definitely like, I wouldn't have driven. I did not drive. But like sight wasn't as different, and experience wasn't as long because again, acid overall is a lot longer than psilocybin, a full journey. And then the come up is also longer. So whereas in psilocybin, you'll definitely feel like by first hour, LSD, it's like first 2 hours and then like 3 is the peak, right? So different. But I had a really experience where I just remembered like it brought me back to this feeling of, yes, life is heavy, but I got to sit with those feelings of heaviness because it really isn't bypassing. Although mushrooms are more like immersive in the experience, I still sat with the feeling of how uncomfortable like the world feels right now, but then they also oriented back into like, where can I take action? What can I practically do? And that was really everything that I needed it to be. We are about to start the live round, the winter live round of Limitless Woman, and I've decided I'm gonna microdose for the first round with the women, and then I'll probably take a break and do my retreat schedule, which will be 1 full day of psilocybin, off day, 1 full day of LSD, just to test out that formula because I still have successfully not gone through it. So that feels really good and exciting. And overall, I'm noticing, I mean, this year has felt a lot better business-wise. I can't, like, the state of the world, unfortunately, I mean, I don't know. You read books like The World is a Mirror or, Asking You How Shall Receive, and it's like, am I creating this chaos in the world? But I do focus on like actions that are within my control, like calling my senators, like showing up and donating money and doing things that I can, whether that be grocery pickup or, whatever, things that are within my control. But when I look at things like my business revenue was up 400%. So 4x my business revenue in January 2026 as compared to January 2025. My business and how I live my life is completely different. I do not open my laptop after a certain time in the evening. I don't push. I really trusting my feelings, and how I feel is huge for me this year. It's interesting when there was that little trend going around, like, unfortunately I do love, my BA pointed out to me that unfortunately I do love Anna, who you have met. She was like, how things feel are really important to you. And it's like, yes, they are, but I wasn't going by that in my business, meaning like if I was feeling like so drained or off, I would still force myself to like hit the content requirement, like in my mind, the content requirements, like what I'd hear from like masterminds and programs, whatever, you need to be putting out 3 pieces of content a day, 4, right? And so if I wasn't hitting those things, I would force myself to do it. I would just force myself to do things that like had more than just resistance. It was like starting to be actual dread. And like, that's how you get burnt out. That's how you get like real bottom of the pit burnout, like real nervous system dysregulation. So I'm not doing that anymore. Things are feeling really good with that. I'm volunteering. I'm part of a board here in Kansas City. I absolutely love being part of that board. I love the organization and what it stands for. We've had our first meeting, so being involved in my community is huge. I'm looking over here because this is where I keep sort of like my zone of excellence. Like, what do I want to be happening? Oh, I would love to get Matt on the podcast. That's my goal the next time he comes. Matt is my physical therapist and trainer, but I'm feeling better than ever physically. He's helping me a lot with my knee. In addition to my knee, I am sauna, cold plunging, completely overhauled my diet. The amount of meat I'm eating these days, my God, it's a lot. It is a lot, but I feel better energy-wise, mood regulation-wise. And I will say, I did this exercise at the end of the year that I'm going to take everyone through this round in Limitless Woman as we start. And it was a project a year into the future. And it was this whole guided breathwork, visualization, meditation, right? And then it was asking yourself, okay, so what are the things that I got to start doing, like double down on doing? What are the things that I got to stop doing? And like a message to myself. And the thing that came through for like what you get to start doing was like really, really make visualization a commitment and a practice. And so now every time I get in the sauna, I visualize. Actually, I visualize every single day, no matter what. And that has been a huge game changer for me. Really cool, fun visualizations are coming through of what I want to create. I know I gave this update once before, but my relationship with my mom is probably the best it's ever been. I can see opportunities are coming to me in my business more easily. I have a private retreat booked in March, a retreat that wasn't on my book. Someone asked me to come in and facilitate, which is great. It's like obviously so much easier for me because I'm not planning all of that. I just launched for the first time, like actually went through a launch. I realized I don't know what I've been doing before, but also great affirmance that you don't need to do anything in your business. I had a 6-figure business without ever going through that process, but obviously now I am, it's an easier way to scale, and knowing what to do and how to launch takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. It's just, I'm very happy I've learned that skill. Having a lot of ideas. So this was a weekend that I ended up working a lot in my business. I will say in general that I have been taking weekends off, and that has felt amazing. Not something that I used to do. However, my best friend is coming on Thursday this week, and so I just wanted to work to be like fully present for her when she was here and not feel like I was trying to double task or anything. So I did work this weekend, and I had a lot of ideas that were just flowing, very creative. I feel like when I do tune in now, things are just easier. I've been writing my comprehensive guide to microdosing, and things just flow. I'm really in a good rhythm with my captions, with my content creation. My content has been performing super well this year. That is a big win. I'm really excited for, the end of this year experiment. So that'll be next October on my birthday. In 2026, to really sit down and like create like a whole big document of everything that has shifted, everything that I've gotten out of this process. And what I also like about this process is it's really focused, it's forced me to be in the gain, right? The gap versus the gain. Are we constantly moving the goalposts, like externally achieving this thing? Or are we looking at like what's already good, what's already working? But of course, I'll be honest, right? With like stuff that isn't working, like, is my business exactly where I want it to be? No. Have I found my person in that relationship? No. Um, I'm still kind of attached to things like happening fast. Like, it's so funny, right? On the one hand, I say, oh my God, I 4x my revenue from January 2025 to 2026. And on the other hand, I'm like, my business isn't where I want it yet, right? I'm very much like, I can be impatient. I want things now. That would be something, a gift I would love to get from this process. Um, am I always patient? Like with other people? No, it's something I could always also gain. So there are things where, and do I feel like I'm 100% home in Kansas City and I really want to be here for the rest of my life? No. Like, there are things that I'm working on, so I don't just want to, like, pull the sunshine and roses thing on you and, like, have this be disingenuous. I always want to be real. But there are several things that feel really good. And I'll always be honest about what is still my gap, what could still grow and expand. So, that's my update on my journey. I don't know, I have a lot of travel planned. I would like to do this big experience, mushrooms, and then a day off, then acid, but I also want to microdose with the first round for Limitless Women. So we'll see all that. I feel good. Like, I could do something now. My tolerance isn't built up at all. But we're also going to start Limitless Women right in the next couple weeks. So preparing for that. I wanted to make sure that I was good to be there. And yeah, kittens, I love you lots. I might have a special guest for you next week, which will be really exciting. And in the integration for this week, I would really love you to take stock of your gains, right? Like, write down tonight everything that is already working for you really well, everything that is going well for you as a person, as a business owner, as a wife, as a mother, as a girlfriend. Oh, if you're a boy and listening, as a father, as a friend, as a boyfriend, as a man, like, what is going well, right? How can you be in the game? How can you notice the game? So until next time, kittens, love you lots. That's the end of today's trip. But remember, the real magic has always been inside of you. If this episode landed, send it to a friend who's ready to step into their next level. And make sure you're following the show so you never miss a dose. I'll be back again soon with another day on the path to your most limitless life. And until then, trust yourself, follow your intuition, and keep asking, how good can it get?